So Ars Poetica was a Latin name which was translated into English as the art of poetry, and it only contains 24 lines poem in the form of epistle or letter. So the poem was written in hexameter verse, 8 lines. So it is a combination of 3 8 lines poem written in the form of epistle, and this was written to Lucius Calpurnius Piso, who was a Roman senator and a counselor, and his 2 sons. So this letter was written to Lucius Calpurnius Piso and his 2 sons. So that is the reason it is known as epistle to the Pisos. So there was not one, there were 3 people to whom this letter was addressed. One was Lucius Calpurnius Piso and his 2 sons. So in Latin, it was referred as Epistula ad Pisons. In English, Epistle to Pisos. So this work is addressed to whom is very important. It describes the qualities of a poem should have if it is to stand as a work of art. Means how a poem is to be written. There is a very famous critic, Macleish. He wrote this work in English in 1925 and published it in 1926. And it is Macleish who said that Ars Poetica is written in 3 epistles. Means he divided each hexameter verse into 3 parts. It was the work of Macleish, not Horace. Horace has written one single poem. The central theme of Ars Poetica is that poems should be captivative to the reader, and that captivation should be similar to the painting or the sculpture. Means a painting or a sculpture, the way it captivates the audience, the same way poetry should be able to captivate the reader. And that poetry should be able to explain its own meaning. It speaks with the quiet eloquence of Rodin's thinker. Rodin was another philosopher who wrote a book, Thinker, and the sculpture or painting of Mona Lisa. So this way, the poetry should be able to portray its own meaning, or it should be able to captivate its own reader. So the name of these 2 philosophers, that is Rodin's thinker and painter Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa. These are the 2 examples used by Horace. In this poem, he derived the concept of miscut utile dulci. This is a Latin phrase used by Horace. Miscut utile dulci. That means mixing of opposing terms, means oxymorons. So oxymorons has to be used by the poets, and the poet has to yoke them together to create antithetical or contrasting meaning that can be pleasing and helpful at once, and sometimes it can be delighting and instructive. I hope it is clear. What do you mean by miscut utile dulci? He defends the liberty of poetry in this poem, and he says that believe ye Pisos. He is addressing the Piso to whom he is writing this poem. Believe ye Pisos, the book will be perfectly like such a picture, the idea of which, like a sick man's dream, are all vain and fictitious, so that neither head nor foot can correspond to any one form, and poets and painters have ever had equal authority for attempting anything. Means a painter or poet can create anything. They can create any picture, they can create any poetry. So they have the right to liberty to write anything. Coming back to Macaulay, as I said that in 1925, he was the person who divided his poem into 3 sections, that is, 3 8-line sections, hexameters, and explain what a poem should be, or in what style the poem should be written. The first section, in each of the section, Horace is comparing a poem with an allegorical element. That is very important to remember. So in the first part, or in the first section, a poem is compared to a fruit, old medallions, the stone ledge of a casement window, and a flight of birds. Are you getting? In the first section, he is comparing the poem with fruit, old medallions means the old medal, the stone ledge of a casement window, and a flight of birds.
Sir, why he compared with this? Only this side.
It is his view. He is comparing the poem. Means he thinks that these are the elements which are of high standards according to him, like the old medals. Poem is like a fruit, and then he is explaining why it is like a fruit. In the second section, he compares the poem to moon. And he says that if a poem has a universality, it can move from one moment to the next, from one age to another, while its relevance remains fixed one. So it is similar to the moon. So moon is also traveling in a sky from one place to another. So a good poem seems to stand still at any given moment, and it can be compared with a moon. So now you can understand why he is comparing all these things. In the third section, he states that a poem should just be like a painting on a wall or a sculpture on a pedestal. It is not a disquisition or a puzzle, but it is a mood or a feeling, a sentiment, and it is a work of art. So in all these 3 sections, he is comparing the poem with different things, and these things you must remember. The question may come, which one among the following is not compared by Horace?